Coming up this week on the Press Box from Salvatore's at the Garage Door.
I'm Dan Fetes, and over the last year, I've matured, and I have to make apology to one baseball player.
I'm Josh Rife, head coach of the Rochester Lancers, and I'm going to tell you what to watch for during the World Cup.
And I'm John DiTullio. I'll tell you what 4 former Buffalo Bills think about this year's team coming up in 2014.
And I'm Mike Catalana. Sometimes, parents, you need to just be quiet. All that coming up next on the Press Box.
The Rochester Press Box is brought to you by Salvatore's at the Garage Door, Rochester's choice winner for Best Pizzeria, featuring Wacky Wing Wednesday and the Super Slice. It's as big as your head. The games are always on at the Garage Door, home to the Rochester Press Box.
Hello and welcome to the Press Box. Mike Catalana filling in this week for Bill Pucko, just for this week. Bill will certainly be back, and we are here at Salvatore's at the historic Garage Door. We welcome everybody to come down when we tape every Wednesday at 12:30. Joining me, as always, to my right, the Gary Smith Award winner for Broadcasting Excellence from the Press Radio Club.
Thank you, Mike.
Two-time winner. We're both two-time winners.
Part of that.
I won this before it was the Gary Smith Award. That's how old I am.
What was it before?
Lowell McMillan Award.
Oh, there you go.
Going way back. Anyhow, congratulations,
Thanks,
John,
Thank you
to
very
winning
much.
that. From the high school sports beat, Dan Fetes, welcome back.
You're filling in for Bill's seat. This one's
That's true. You've got the big seat. And we're proud to welcome back the head coach of the Rochester Lancers, Josh Rife. Thanks for being back with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to start with Josh because we know this is World Cup time, and fans are going to be watching the World Cup. Now, we want to talk, at least focus on the American team, because I believe there's a lot of people who don't always watch soccer or don't watch it as intently, but they're going to want to tune in. They're going to want to watch the U.S. They're going to see them against Ghana on Monday. What should we be looking for in this U.S. team?
You know, I think some key players to look at. Obviously, Tim Howard in goal. You know, it starts with a great goaltender. Just like any sport, you know, you'll obviously hockey playoffs going on, right? A hot goalkeeper can really save you. And so I think the same thing goes to the U.S. That's probably been our staple. Kind of benchmark position for years and years and years have always been our goalkeeper. So Tim Howard's going to be great for us. Clint Dempsey just came back to the U.S., had been playing overseas. He's got a lot of creative flair. He's kind of that guy who has some of those intangibles, X factors, which are going to be great. And then for me, my favorite player there, and he's a guy who does a little bit of everything for him, is Michael Bradley. He's, again, a guy who's been playing overseas for a number of years. He just came back, is now playing in Toronto, just down the road from where we're at here. You look at their last tune-up game that they had before heading down to Brazil, and he was just absolute class. And it's just kind of, if you want to, again, another equation to another sport, it's kind of the quarterback there. He's kind of just running the show in there, and he's kind of dictating the play, the tempo. We did a great job, the U.S., I say we, right? I'm American, right? So we did a great job in the counterattack last game, which I think is something that we're going to have to do against some of these quality opponents in our group, the group of death, as they call it, that we're going to have to pick and choose our times. If we try to go toe-to-toe, I think, with everybody, we're going to get ourselves strung out and struggle a little bit. But we did a great job in the counterattack, and Michael Bradley's a big key for us there.
John, Coach Jurgen Klinsmann basically says we're not winning this thing. Was he right to say that, or should he be given the whole, let's go out and shock the world?
We always want honesty from our coaches, and you can't get more blunt than that. I took offense to the shots that he took at Kobe signing the contract, 2 years, how we pamper our American athletes. I took offense to that, but I didn't take offense whatsoever. We're not going to win this. I don't know if we won it, actually, if I would really care. I'm more interested to see the other countries, because I know it's life or death for them. They're carrying the whole burden of their pride of their country, riding on these matches. Portugal, Argentina, Brazil, where it is life or death, not only for the players but for the fans. So the passion that they carry and the expectations, to me, I think if you're a sports fan, you've got to watch this.
All right, Dan, are you watching? What are you thinking?
I'm watching it. I'm watching more for that mental, that psychological edge. Obviously, Ghana's knocked us out for the last 2 years, so what's that like? You talk about Coach Klinsmann saying that we're not going to win it, and then on top of it, no Landon Donovan. So where is the U.S. team mentally? How are they going to focus going into this World Cup where, we're in the group of death? What are you going to do?
Would you have said to your team, we're not going to win, or said it publicly?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I think you look at, you hear coaches do all types of different things. You've got the Rex Ryan, who's a real vocal and likes to stir the pot a little bit. You got Bill Belichick, who doesn't really say much of anything. So it's me personally, probably not. I like to instill a little bit of cautious optimism, when talking to our guys, even if it is a dire situation. But he knows his team better than I do. So.
Well, we'll see. Beating Ghana would be a good first step.
Isn't that amazing?
In towards shocking
That's
the world.
the only thing Ghana has over the United States. Think about it.
We'll see on Monday. When we come back, Derek Fisher, from the court to the coach. We'll talk about that. Welcome back to the Garage Door. Salvatore's at the Garage Door, where they have Wacky Wings Wednesday. And I believe, John, you said best wings in the world?
Tremendous. Tremendous wings.
And
no, they have they have those. You can't beat the calzone. The Meat
Right.
Lovers calzone is the size of a football. I'm serious. You can run patterns with this thing, man. It's that big.
And you're going to have a little bit of trivia
Starting
coming
in
up?
September, Thursday night, NFL action. This is top-notch trivia. I mean, you just don't show up. You got to do some preparation, Mike.
Bring your A game.
Yes.
All right. Well, one team that did not have their A game this past year was the New York Knicks, and they struggled. So they bring in Phil Jackson, and now he is the guru of all things, the Zen Master. Now he picks his coach, and I'm going to start with you, John. Derek Fisher, playing on the court, playing with Oklahoma City, head coach of the team. What's your thoughts?
I don't hate the move. I'll find out if I'm going to love it. This is the trend now. This is the in thing to do, is to hire coaches with no head coaching experience. We saw with Mark Jackson. Jeff Hornacek, who was an assistant for 2 years in Utah, goes out to Phoenix. Instant success. We saw with Larry Bird years ago. Front office came down to coach. Everyone thinks Phil Jackson wants to coach, but doesn't want to coach. So this is the next best thing. He's going to coach through Skype. And listen, he wanted to hire someone who believes in what he believes in. I don't see the problem with that. So he missed out on Steve Kerr. That would have been okay, but you hire Derek Fisher because you just got done playing. Maybe go with a guy who is just done playing the game, knows how these young players think. The Knicks are in a rebuilding mode. Listen, Don Chaney, Lenny Wilkins, Isaiah Thomas, Mike D'Antoni, all retreads who have coached the Knicks since Jeff Van Gundy resigned.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try something fresh. Phil Jackson, they're paying him $12 million. I trust his decision with Derek Fisher.
Josh, as a guy who went from playing to coaching, what's the biggest thing he's going to face, even if guys respect his knowledge of the game, with being the guy in charge?
There's always little intangibles or little things that you, as hands-on as you might be as a player and kind of be, kind of the coach's voice out there on the floor. There's a lot of just a little behind-the-scenes stuff that maybe you don't realize. There's a lot of extra hours that you're putting in. As a coach, as a player, I could go do my job. If I felt like I worked hard, I did what I needed to do. I go home and I'm content with that. I kind of laugh is that even as well as my team plays now, I'm always going to be pessimistic about it. I'm always critical. It's like you're never really satisfied. Even after a good game, you're still going to be watching film. You're still saying, what can we do better? What can we do better? And I think there's a little mental part of that wears on you a little bit as well. Of you're never really kind of in a good spot as a coach. You're always trying to improve.
Well, Dan, one thing he's going to face is not having a good enough team.
Right.
He has one star player on that team. What do you think about Carmelo hanging around and his future with the Knicks?
I think if he hangs around, it's going to be more because of Phil Jackson than it is going to be because Derek Fisher's coaching the team. But you have to see, maybe they gel and they click, but all of a sudden the talk is, Melo and LeBron, they're going to get together. That's the nice whisper that's going around now as John shakes his head. Understandable,
that's
right?
the big
But
rumor
that's
for next
whisper,
summer.
right? It's not now, but the 2015, what could happen? So who knows? Who knows what Derek Fisher's going to have to even go out there and coach with? He's going to have personalities. He's going to have to deal with the New York media. And see how he handles it.
And even Kevin Durant could opt out as well. So now Derek Fisher, he carries a lot of cachet. 5 rings, great career, great player. He was the leader of the Players Association. I don't know if that works against him when they had the lockout. So I think he carries a lot of cachet. And listen, can he coach? Well, we're going to find out. But who better to bring in when you're rebuilding?
Yeah.
Than I think a guy just out of the league.
Well, we're going to find out, too, how much some of these guys want to play with Carmelo if they want to keep him in New York. When we come back, like it or not. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here at the Salvatore's at the garage door. Mike along with John and Dan and Coach Josh. And I want to talk about the Lancers. Going to have some camps this summer. What do you got going?
We've got summer camps going on all around Rochester this summer. It's going to be a great time, great opportunity for kids to learn from the pros, and that's one of the great things. I'll be out there. Our players are going to be out there hanging out with these kids, and really, at the end of the day, we want to make sure they have a great time out there. We want them to hopefully learn, obviously, about the game of soccer, but hopefully just grow their passion and and their love for the game.
All right, let's start with our like it or not segment, and we're going to start with you, Dan. I'm going to ask you about Manny Machado. What's going on with Manny? Like him or not?
I like him. This past week, I hated him. I just couldn't get over it. What a knucklehead he was this past week. And it doesn't make any sense to me because he hasn't done any of this stuff before. So all of a sudden, he gets tagged out by Josh Donaldson, throws his helmet, has a hissy fit, and the next day he's swinging his bat, hitting the catcher on purpose, and then throwing his bat at Donaldson. It doesn't make any sense. There's no need for that in the game. And then it's confusing, too, because David Price is throwing pitches at people, and there's no suspensions. You throw a bat at somebody, you're suspended for 5 games. There's got to be, it's a severe penalty, and I think obviously some of the bench clearing issues that happened the day before went into the 5-game suspension.
John, it must be that seat you got to stick up for the Red Sox, right?
Right, absolutely.
It shows right away.
It's automatic.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Manny Machado. John, let's go to you. Like it or not, Syracuse-Georgetown, the rivalry is back.
Love it. I love it. As long as Boeheim's coaching and there's a Thompson on the bench for Georgetown, this to me makes perfect sense. Why not? It's the best rivalry Syracuse has ever had. It does link them back to the Big East. It brings two schools that have not liked each other for so many, many years. I think it's great for the fans. It's great for Boeheim. I think it's great for the players to continue this rivalry, even though both have gone their separate ways. I think it's fantastic.
It's funny, you mentioned Boeheim. I was thinking, well, this will be 5 years now, because one year they don't play, and then 4. Boeheim coaching all 5 of those years?
Let me tell you, he is coaching until he wins that second national championship. If he's 80, and he's chasing that ring, Mike. If we saw Favre do it at the end of his career, we're going to see Boeheim do it at the end of his career. He's going to chase the ring.
All right. Well, we know Coach Boeheim can be a little, I'll say, snarky in his interviews. I want to ask you, Josh, about in-game interviews for the coach. We see Greg Popovich, who has his moments in those. What do you think of them in-game interviews for the coaches or the players?
I like it. I think one of the things is you see all the social media nowadays, anything that happens in sports, and everybody has an opinion, everybody has a comment. And I think one of the things people lack is a little bit of that insight and understanding of what really goes on a court during a game. And so, if it's a little something that the fans can now take a little more and learn a little bit from what's going on from a coach during the game, why not?
Now, you were telling us beforehand about a player interview once you saw right in the middle of the game. Tell that story quickly.
Yeah, game was being played. The player's on the bench, an indoor game, so it's the free substitution, has the headset on. They're asking him a question. His line mate comes for a change, and he says, "Excuse me, I got to go." Puts the headset down, runs on the field, scores a goal, comes back over, puts it on, says, "Oh, hey, sorry, where were we?"
That's the way to do an in-game interview, right? Drop the headset, go out and score the goal. All right, when we come back, we'll have our final thoughts as you're watching the Rochester Press Box. Welcome back to Salvatore's at the Garage Door. Mike, along with Josh, Dan, and John. This is our segment we call Unfinished Business, a chance for us to vent, talk a little, go one-on-one with the camera, tell your thoughts. Dan, you lead us off.
Or maybe it's even time to own up. Last year, I made my first ever appearance on this Rochester Press Box. And my first ever unfinished business, I took some hard shots at a Cuban hotshot outfielder coming up. Over the years, I've grown up. As John DiTullio says, I've matured. So I would like to make a public apology to Yasiel Puig. The biggest story at the All-Star deadline was Yasiel Puig. I am so sick of Yasiel Puig and the way that the media these days, everything is the greatest. It's the greatest play of all time. It's the greatest game of all time. It's the greatest player of all time.
I think somewhere down the line you're going to take that one back.
See, that's what I was
thinking.
No. Is Yasiel Puig my favorite baseball player? No. Do I love him flipping his bat after singles and doubles? No. Is he the best player in the National League right now? Absolutely, 100%. I have no idea where this guy's ceiling is. I've owned up. I'm a man, and I'm coming to it. This guy used to be a wild stallion. He is being trained. He's learning from his coaches, and now he is a full-on Triple Crown chance thoroughbred horse. This guy is an animal. He had a 33-game stretch where he reached base, where he batted .398. That's good for a homestand. He did it for a month. This guy raised his average 114 points in 1 month. He is absolutely should be, he's getting my vote for the outfielder for the National League. He is that good, and who knows? We know what Mike Trout's ceiling is. We know what Bryce Harper's ceiling is. This guy's learning. He's taking more pitches.
You're president of the fan club now.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you.
You've really
I'm trying
grown
to
up.
mature.
Wow, that's maturation process continues.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Coach, what do you got for us?
You know, I want to talk today about the San Antonio Spurs and what they're doing right now. Obviously, I'm a soccer coach. I'm loving the World Cup that's going on, but I love also watching what the Spurs are doing right now. I had a chance to talk to some of the former Bills at the Press Radio Club dinner the other day, and one of the comments that they made was that intelligent players only get better, and character. Guys of character, they dig in when things go wrong, and things go wrong in sports. And I think, again, you hear it a lot, and there's a comparison between the two teams in the NBA Finals right now, but the San Antonio Spurs have really shown what you can do with guys of character and smart, intelligent players. I mean, Boris Diaw, unbelievable. Who would have thought this guy could do what he's doing? And he is an unbelievable, just a big man to watch how he distributes the ball, the decision-making, everything. It's, for me, as a sports fan and a basketball fan, amazing.
Yeah, it's really the culture they've formed in San Antonio. It really works for them long term. Johnny?
One of the highlights for me this past week at the Press Radio Club Day of Champions dinner was after the dinner and being able to sit down at the Radisson and talk with Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, and Steve Tasker. Now, you saw on stage, if you were at the dinner that night, how they just joked and talked and the genuine love that they have for one another and for those teams. I felt it even more in that hotel room. The bond that they still have. Yeah, did they have egos? Each one of them said they did. Did they fight, verbally and physically? Yes, but they came together for one common purpose. It was to win football games. They all grew up together. Guys like Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed, and the master was Darryl Talley. It was just incredible night. There's some stuff that was said off the record about Doug Flutie and Rob Johnson I wish I could share with you. One thing I can share with you, what concerns each one of those former Buffalo Bills is back in the day, Darryl Talley or Jim Kelly would call players out. When they look at this current Buffalo Bills team, they don't think they have that player. In fact, they think they have a coach and maybe a linebacker. Brandon Spikes and Pepper Johnson are two players that could maybe become that Darryl Talley. The Bills aren't going to win until someone takes control of that locker room. I came away very, very discouraged after talking with those guys about this upcoming season.
And some of what we talked about last week about Marcel Darius, they need somebody in that locker room to light him up a little
Even
bit.
talked about that where somebody like a Talley or somebody would have taken Darius under their wing and mentor this kid. No one's doing that with this team.
All right, I'm going to take a little different tact for today. I got a chance to be around some youth sports. We're doing some stories on Fox Rochester at 10 about youth sports, which we don't normally do. And it's more about what makes them tick, what the teams do, not about winning and losing. Then I had an opportunity to be at a friend's daughter's soccer game this past week. And I watched the kids play, and the kids were having fun, and they were doing everything. But I sat near a parent. I didn't know the guy. I didn't know his kid. And I happened to listen to him constantly during the game, critical of all the kids. Not even the officials as much, the referee, but the other kids. On and on and on and on. Yelling at them, telling them they were wrong for helping a kid up, yelling at them for the way they were playing. And I have this thought, and I have it for all parents who are watching the game. You're watching your kid, you're watching other kids' games. Spend your time yelling encouragement to your kids. You want to coach your kid, do it after the game, even though I think you should leave that to the professionals or at least the people that volunteer their time. Otherwise, I have two words for you when you're watching the game. Shut up. No one wants to hear your criticism. No one wants to hear you yell at those kids. No one wants to hear your opinion on the game. We all got tired of hearing it. And if you were at the game I was at, you know the guy I'm talking about. I listened to these youth teams. We did a story with a young girl who has Down syndrome and the way her young Little League team rallied around her. And a Rush Henrietta lacrosse team that preaches sportsmanship. Compliment the other team when they do well. Help them up when they're knocked down. These are 10, 9, 8, 7-year-olds. That's the way we should be building kids. The days for the intimidation in sports come later. Worry about that when you're a Division I college athlete or a pro. It's kids' sports. It's for the kids. It's about sportsmanship. Parents encourage the kids. Otherwise, be quiet. That's going to do it for all of us here. Coach, thanks very much for being here.
Thanks again for having me.
All right. Best of luck with the camps and everything this year. Johnny.
Mike, Pro Bowl performance today. I mean, come on.
And Danny.
That was right down the field.
Thank you. And Danny, you're growing up
thank
before our eyes.
Thank you.
Loaf,
We're
I'm
very
so proud
happy.
of you, buddy.
Bill Pucko will be back next week. Remember, every week here at 12:30 at the garage door. Salvatore's at the garage door. It's going to do it for us. We'll see you again next week.